Hey, what's going on, everybody? On today's show, when will wearable AI actually change your world? From fitness trackers to augmented reality, AI is really finding its way into our everyday items that we wear, some that are coming, some that we know about now. But, they all haven't been home runs. We know the stories about Rabbit R1, which maybe isn't a wearable, but we'll definitely talk about it. And definitely Humane Pin, who are still out there, shipping their units for $500 a month. So, where is this going? What do we can see in 2025? And what does this future wearable AI really look like? So today's the Daily AI Show. Today is January 20th, 2025. And I'm joined by Andy and Eran. I'm Brian. Welcome, guys. And, let's kind of dig into today's show. It's a fun one. It's a great Monday conversation. Thanks as always to Beth, who's helping us out in the background till she can come back live with us in a few days. But Beth put together some great notes for us to kind of kick this thing off. So maybe before we get into current tech and things that aren't as popular, maybe we should talk about some of the misses, the Humane Pin, maybe Rabbit R1, which I know, Andy, you could definitely talk more about because you own one, and where that might be going. To give us a sort of an intro to what's coming out now, what angles they seem to be taking in order to get wearable AI into the mainstream. And maybe also let's get into, what needs to happen for these things to find mass adoption. Is this the year that people will start using these devices, or are they just going to kind of default back to their phone because that's where the easiest place is and most people are carrying on their phone or like an Apple Watch anyway? So Andy, do you want to kind of get us started with like the Rabbit R1 since you personally have one and talk a little bit about your experience? Again, Rabbit isn't really a wearable. It's kind of like portable, I think is the term we would use for that. But tell me what initially inspired you to get it and then kind of where it's sitting right now a year later.
Yeah. So what I think was so exciting about the Rabbit demonstration at CES a year ago was that it was promising agency.
Mm-hmm.
It was, we're making a distinction between wearables like glasses or the pin and a portable device. But the idea is that eventually you'll have access with you on a mobile basis at all times, some way outside of your phone. And the criticism of these was always, well, wait a second, I've got a smartphone and I can, get access through almost anything that I want through the phone. But there is something appealing about a discrete, small, purpose-built device that gives you access to an assistant, an AI assistant, which goes beyond just being able to generate content for you in response to a prompt, which is what we do with the non-mobile desktop or laptop kind of versions of these things. So what was demonstrated at CES was, a real agent. You speak to the Rabbit, you say, I want you to do this. I now start an example right now. I'm in the process of, and by the way, you could do this on your phone as well. And there's no difference. But the idea is that if I have a Rabbit and I paid only $200 for it, I don't have a monthly fee, and I can do almost everything that most of the other AI systems can. So I'm looking to buy some skis right now because it's winter and I need a new pair. So I'm going to I turn it on, and you can see here, let me get this up here. You see that, the Rabbit there is waiting to receive my information. I press and talk. I am looking to buy some new skis. Well, you find the best place online to get Blizzard Anomaly 88 in 170 centimeters. And it's going to say in just a moment here.
Searching now.
It's searching. And in a moment.
Searching for by Blizzard Anomaly. 88 skis, 170 centimeters online.
Okay, and what it's going to do, and I'll show you this on the screen, is it's going to come back with the results. It'll take a few moments.
Here are some options for purchasing the Blizzard Anomaly 88 skis in 170 centimeters online. 1. Amazon. Price $629.96.
So it'll go through that list, but it'll also present in a pretty nice display. Now you can see it. It presents a little display that's scrollable but I can see all those options.
$899.99
Okay, so enough of that. It also has a camera built into it. So again, if I don't have a big budget to buy a $1,500 smartphone and $20 a month for an AI system, this is a really good deal. It's an amazing deal, but it's not going anywhere really. It has a bunch of other features that are related to the sort of agency that I'm referring to, and I'll just rattle through them. With your R1, you can get answers on the go, as you saw. You can ask follow-up questions. You can do quick notes, right? You can do voice recording and notes. You can do long-term or long-form voice recording for all purposes. You can set alarms, has a timer, so it has a calendar built into it, just like we're now seeing that ChatGPT has added with their tasks feature. You can set reminders and it'll pop open at a certain time and give you that reminder every day. So it had all these things built into it. And it can do translation, by the way. I can take a picture with the camera and have it explain what it sees. So it does a lot of things, and yet it doesn't really get there, in the consumer marketplace. If I would share my screen, but I don't want to spend a whole lot of time with this because I want to make one point. I'm on the desktop version of this now. They have a large action model, which was part of the excitement of it. It's designed to take actions on your computer. And they have a way of doing that now called the Lamb Playground on the rabbit hole. And they also have a new thing that was just released in November called the Teach Mode. And that allows the system to watch me as I operate in a browser and remember all those steps. And then I can trigger that from the R1. So I teach it an automation. It's like respell for your portable device. I've built the workflow in the desktop teach mode, and then I can trigger it here and it'll go through all those steps and give me the answer in voice right on my portable device. So again, to summarize, what's exciting about that, not realized in practice with any meaningful community of users, is that it is an always with you device that has an action capability that you can program using their system, and then you can invoke it. All right, I'll stop there on the rabbit.
No. I think what I loved hearing through that, Andy, was basically what I heard was like a lot of your reasoning, a lot of the reasons you got excited about it. And maybe it's missed the mark. Maybe it'll get there someday. I know they are promising future updates and things like that. So perhaps what you have will make it there. And also you did leave out, I believe, when it came to the price, you had gotten like a whole year of Perplexity, which was like another $100 value.
Free.
Yeah. So there's about right. Yeah, exactly. So, it wasn't a huge like outlaying cost. It was definitely worth it for you personally to take a shot on it because it wasn't at such a price. Now, compare that to like the Humane Pin, which is, I'm looking at the website right now, is still selling for $499, which I find astonishing, honestly, comparing how disastrous their sort of, 2024, not 2025, not this CES, but last CES when they made a big splash. So did Rabbit. And I didn't hear anybody talking about it. I'm not saying they weren't at CES this year, but I didn't hear any stories about that or that they'd come back with a new model. When I look at the website, it looks very, very similar to what we already knew. And also, you're seeing exactly what we saw last year, is that it's a lot of pictures, a lot of promises, and not one live demo of actually using the Humane Pin, which should tell you a lot of what you need to know about any of these devices. If you're thinking about any wearables that we talk about today, my first thing that I would say is obviously user reviews are great. User reviews that are videos of people getting the types of responses and actions that they're promising, even better. But if you don't even have a user review, at least try to see live, what appears to be live videos. We know AI can play a factor in that, but you want to see it being used in live scenarios, not hypotheticals, not fancy pictures with spinning graphics and things like that. And honestly, when I look at the Humane Pin, that's what I see. But what I love, Andy, is like you pointed out the reasons why something like a portable wearable was valuable to you. And I think that sort of holds true. So Eran, I'd be curious to hear from you. Like, I don't own any AI wearables at this point. I will tell you, I'm very close to maybe getting the next version of the Meta glasses, that are coming out because they have some upgrades and things that I think are going to be cool maybe later this year. But I don't even have an Apple Watch or anything. I don't have any like wearables really. My phone is the only thing I have. But for Eran, like, have you thought about wearables? Have you thought about like, oh, if it just did this or that, that would push me over the edge because now it starts to solve real world problems. Like, where are you on this?
So, just before I talk about what I'm interested in that department, I think probably the most interesting thing that happened in the last year was really the Humane pin was such a bomb. And when Marquis Brownlee published his review about it, that was got to be just about up. It did not do them any favors. So, I come from an IT industry background, so I'm used to tech companies putting out lots of bullshit, basically trying to occupy the conversation around a something but they don't actually have the product. And I mean, we've all seen Microsoft and Google's probably the worst at this at the moment, doing that with anything AI related, saying it does this and does that, and it doesn't. Anyway, that aside, the product I'm most interested in when I first heard about it was tied in with the guys who make, I think it's called Rewind, the software. And I think it was supposed to record everything you did on your computer and would feed you back useful information and review things. Anyway, they started talking about it after that came out, and they were talking about something called the Pendant, which was just a little small, like bullet-shaped thing you wore around your neck on a pendant, on a necklace, and it was supposed to record all the voice conversations around you, so that you could then feed that back into the software and get transcriptions and like it was a help tool for trying to remember everything we'd had in a busy day. So for me, I mean, look, my memory's not the best these days. As I got a little bit older, it's starting to get a little bit poorer, and I love the idea of that. So I think they've rebranded. It's now called Limitless, limitless.ai. Funnily enough, my computer decided that the website was a phishing threat from Malwarebytes and blocked it. I had to unblock it. Anyway, it's fine. But they've got they still call it the Pendant, but it looks different now. So it's like a round disc with a little loop at the top and then another on the back, and you can either clip it into your shirt or put it in a necklace and hang it around. And the theory is that you can record your conversations and conversations going on around you. And
so I can share here.
Feed that back into the software. Yeah, do you want to show can you show the website, Brian?
I can, but I don't have access. Thank you, Beth. I was like, I have it, but I got to get Beth to pull it up for us. This is what you're talking about. You kind of nailed it as far as like the clip and what the Limitless Pendant looks like. Now, it's not available yet.
No, so they're talking about it shipping in Q1 2025, and it's currently going to be priced at $99. And then what you do is you pay for your transcription minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get 1,200 minutes free a month. If you think you need more than that, then you can go to the Pro or the Unlimited plan. Now, I quite like the idea of this product because not only does it record conversations that I need to remember. I'm in a habit of recording conversations every time I'm on a Zoom with someone. I always record it so I can refer back to it. So for me, it's a valuable tool in that respect, but also transcriptions and then summaries and all that other sort of stuff. So this is probably the product I'm most interested in the AI wearable space. I'm not really up to date on anything else major. In doing my research for today's show, a lot of it seemed to be health and fitness type stuff, measuring heart rate and exercise and all that kind of stuff. And I can see we've had Fitbits for years, but I'm sure the AI stuff is going to be better. I'm really interested to see what comes out in the future, but this is definitely the one I'm most interested in. And if I'm going to buy something in the next year, it'll probably be this, unless the reviews are terrible.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, exactly. Right. The minute people start using it and saying, oh, it does this or does that. This is a company called Bee, as in like Bumblebee, right? BEE. And it's a wearable AI that understands you. This one is unique in that it does not record your conversations. In other words, you cannot go back and get your transcriptions, but it is listening, apparently always listening. you can also tap that little button that you see on the screen. It's like, it looks like a little watch or like a fitness band that you might wear for tracking, steps or something like that. It's pretty streamlined, doesn't have a screen on it. You can see on the screen, if you're watching us video and not listening to us, the woman in the video is just pressing, or the image is just pressing on the button and leaving a note on there. So what it's meant to do, there was actually somebody who got access to this for a couple of days before CES, and she was talking about it. It does do a decent job of picking up what you're saying. So it would give her suggested to-do list. She said, it gave one example where she was talking about a project with a coworker named Mike, and it did actually pull and automatically pull in the to-do and say, hey, don't forget that, send that digital image that you needed to over to Mike. And that came directly from it. It's sort of grabbing the conversations, but she said that like, it's often wrong. You're going to find yourself deleting to-dos that aren't really to-dos on there. And it doesn't pick up other people around you. It does a pretty good job of just picking up you, which I think is good for obviously the data privacy stuff. And the way they sort of show it on here is like, you have conversations, and you can, on the right side of the screen, it's like you're adapting your parenting approach during your wife's absence by creating special moments around routine activities like swim class. Like, so is the idea that it's sort of listening to me, and if I'm starting to get a little ornery, that it's like sending me a little message, and it's like, hey, you sound tired, Brian. Like maybe don't snap at the people in the house with you, that kind of stuff. And so whether that actually gets there or works, I think this is another one of these devices that's I don't know if they're shipping yet. Order now, shipping now. Yeah, so $50 basic device, if you could see it on the screen.
Supports iOS only
at the moment, yeah. And then they talk about like coming and stuff. You can see it here. Advanced noise filtering, 7 days of battery life, which is impressive. They're saying over 100 hours on a single charge. There's a mute and
the Pendant's 100 hours as well. They made a point about that. So
yeah, which I think is great. I mean, that's what you would want to see. You don't want to have to always be recharging them and stuff. So interesting, another wearable. And I can bring up more on here as well, but because we could talk about Omi rather, I guess it is. Yeah, let's bring up Omi really quick. First of all, I heard that Nico, I think in our Nico's saying that he's waiting on the Omi, but he's wearing the Ray-Bans currently, which is really cool. So that's cool that you're getting one, Nico. So let me share this tab instead. So this is the Omi. I think that's how you probably say, unless it's Ami, but I'm sure it's Omi. And this guy in the picture is wearing it on his temple, right? And it's literally a white orb sitting on the side of his temple. Looks like something straight out of Star Trek in my mind, right? So definitely futuristic to it. But we're gonna switch over here to the you'll see it here. I'm gonna switch over to a second. So there's this guy in this video. It's cheesy, guys. He's in this video, and I'll play a little bit of it here. But he's basically in a college classroom. So just watch a little bit of this really quick.
Ring a bell? Unconditioned stimulus. Anyone? Who can tell me what the conditioned stimulus is?
The screen just said, the girls just said you're cute in French. Respond with something in French.
Nicholas, care to elaborate?
The conditioned stimulus was the ringing of the bell, which made the dog salivate even in the absence of food.
Nice, dude.
Okay. So,
that was pretty horrible.
It goes farther, and I'll just, for the sake of brevity, it goes farther and does show one that I thought was a little better. The woman, the grandmother, if you will, is wearing it as a pendant, right? It's just kind of hanging as a necklace. And her grandkids come in the room and they're like, grandma. And she gets a note on her phone because she has to look at the screen. It's just pick it up and it says, your grandchildren's names are Emily and Andy, and they love your spaghetti. And this is the recipe. And they jump down on the couch with her and give her a big hug. And she's like, who wants spaghetti, right? So it's just a super cheesy video, in my opinion. Also, though, the guy wearing it on his temple, nobody seems to be reacting to that in real life. I would absolutely be like, what is on your head? And if I'm the professor, I'm 1,000% not impressed that you know that answer. Like, I'm just assuming the orb on the side of your face is helping you with the AI to it. And so it's not discreet, not even the least bit. I don't know what do you guys think? Because Omi is like definitely one of the new ones that's shipping, and it sort of caused some some news, from CES, but I don't know. I think
it looks. I don't know if you guys, if the term translates to the US, but in Australia we would say it looks dorky.
dorky. Yeah, we would say that. Yeah, for sure.
So what I'm confused by it because the thing on my head is clearly a microphone, but it's probably not a speaker, or maybe it's doing bone conduction to let me listen to something, but it seems like he looked at something on his phone.
He did. He had to look at his
Okay.
phone to get it.
So that, it's a listener. Let's put that in the class of the Humane AI pin. It's listening, or the Limitless thing. It's listening constantly, but there's a lot of overhead in trying to receive, whether from bees listening or the temple microphone listening. There's a lot of overhead to get that into a form that you can then actually respond to. And I'm skeptical that that listener could know that when she said "il est beau," that it was talking about him. It could have been about the guy behind him.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
So there's no camera. So I'm sort of skeptical about these listener only devices. I think that you need to have something that's more complete, including audio and potentially camera. And the glasses are where we're seeing those things kind of converge. You're getting not only the microphone, but you're getting the camera and the display. All of those things together are necessary for a really complete experience that could be personalized and discreet.
I agree. And just to finish on Omi, just so people know what they're saying, this is out of their FAQs. Does it read my brain? Omi will be able to read your brain data with a separate brain interface module. First version of Omi is shipped audio only with a priority access for brain module coming in Q2 2025. That's what it says. So I think the gist of it is that
Is this after people have Elon's brain implant put in first?
does it need a phone? Yes, Omi works with all iPhone and Android phones. What's included? Pre-orders. By the way, it's $89 with no subscription. So it's not, again, Humane. Again, the Humane pin is $399 or $499, whatever I said it was. What did I say it was? $499? Yeah, $499. So these other wearables are coming in way, way lower than that. And to your point about the Rabbit, Andy, it's at a price point. The Omi B, right? The Limitless Pendant, they're all at a price point that is smart in the sense that it's going to make people take a shot with them. Because it's at a price point that if you're playing around with AI, $89 and most likely is not going to, you're willing to take that shot. It's like, if it works, if it doesn't work, it could be something great, whatever the case is. Obviously, with something that's much higher, like a $500 investment, or even the Meta glasses, which can get up into the 300s, depending on what features and functionality they have. And we'll see what their next version of that's supposed to come out. But I agree with you, Andy. Like, a lot of it is like, well, what are you trying to get out of this? And I think that's sort of the bigger question today is, okay, wearable AI technology is coming. I would think the three of us could reasonably say that in the future, it'll be pretty common, like a phone. It would be pretty common in our lives. You'll definitely know people who are wearing all time, always on AI wearable technology. It could be recording your conversation in the presence of them, and you may or may not know that that's happening. And so isn't this just taking us, regardless of what it is, what the device is, whether it's glasses like you have on right now, either of you guys have on right now, let's say those are both AI enabled glasses. The question to me becomes like, okay, these can do a lot to transform our lives, but are we just further moving towards a society where you have to assume that you're always on, you're always being recorded, whatever you say is always being recorded, as if you were, in front of a body cam from a police officer, at least in the States. I don't know what they have in Australia, but they have a lot of body cams here, and they record a lot of
We've got them as well.
good.
Yeah.
It catches, it's great. In fact, frankly, it catches bad cops as well as it enforces law enforcement and things like that for reviewing. So I don't know what he thinking on that, because I feel like this is just, we're at a tipping point, and maybe these things don't hit the mark today.
I believe that we will see that sort of stuff more and more commonly. Justin made a comment, Justin Kevich. I apologize if I got your surname wrong, Justin. He said, I can see Apple, Samsung, or Meta eventually making an app for the phone that does the same thing, even with the smart glasses. I'm also thinking that, to me, everybody has one of these. It's got computing power, it's got memory, it's got internet, it's got all the stuff. To me, what I think we'll start to see is those companies will start to either release their own product that kind of does a lot of things in a wearable and connects to your phone, like a watch, an Apple Watch or an Android watch, for example, a Samsung watch. I just think we'll see a lot of those sorts of products start to be released. And if it's not made by those big manufacturers, then there are going to be companies that will align themselves with one or both of the major people and produce their own thing. One product that you said something a bit earlier, Brian, and I apologize for changing the topic just briefly, but I think one really interesting option with the wearables is for people that are dealing with things like Alzheimer's, for example. And that's pretty topical for me because my mother is in the early stages of either Alzheimer's or dementia. I'm not sure which it is, but like I go to see her as she's in hospital at the moment after surgery, and every 5 minutes she's repeating the same question. And it's really tough on my side and my family side sitting there. But wouldn't it be cool if there was a product that you could have for somebody that would almost stimulate or remind them of what's being discussed? Now, I don't think that kind of technology is going to be good enough for us, 2 to 5 years maybe, but I see it as a potential product that could really help people that are going through memory challenges, more serious stuff than just, I forgot what I had for breakfast kind of thing. So that for me, that's a future option that I think will be really a nice way to take advantage of the whole wearables plus AI kind of stuff.
Yeah, and
let me touch on the glasses configurations again.
Wait, before you do that really quick, Andy, I just do want to point out, because Beth isn't here, and Beth, I think, would say this. I mean, Beth is here. Beth is running tech for us. She's not able to be on screen. But Beth has talked many times, Eran, about running through a similar situation with her mom, I think several years ago or recently enough. But she said, don't forget, there's the other side of it too, where some of these devices are actually going to do a lot of help, perhaps like for your mom in early stages. And then she was mentioning the other day that there's the other side of it too, where it could actually cause more confusion, in later stages, and actually could be a detriment. So just to bring up both sides of it, but I don't want to speak for Beth. That's something she's mentioned before. And I think it's always great to just mention, like, these things could be a tool for good, but they also could maybe do unintended consequences and things like that. So just wanted to wrap that part up. Sorry, Andy, please go back to the.
No, I think that's an important point, even in the context of what I'm going to say, which is that there's a cognitive load that's created when you're in space and you're talking to other people, and there's also another feed in audio. And then if you add a display, you're trying to interpolate all of these different inputs at the same time. And you can imagine how confusing that would be to somebody who doesn't have high speed processing and is suffering from the early stages of dementia. It would just be totally overwhelming for them to have that kind of input added on to all of the confusing inputs that are surrounding them. So I think that's an excellent point. So I did a little list of, I had Perplexity do a little list of all of the glasses that are out there right now, and every single one of them has audio. So the base case is you have glasses that have audio stems and a microphone. So it's like earbuds. And by the way, Apple's approach to this whole thing is not glasses, because they don't think you need the display because you've got your phone. They just want the AirPods to become the interface that you have with your AI assistant. So, Siri is going to be there with you and could actually start, if you give it permission, to interrupt you with information and notification. And that, again, requires that you have some new way of working in the world where you're allowing these interruptions that aren't obvious or visible to other people. Now, about half and half are split between having a camera. And the ones that are choosing not to have a camera are doing so expressly because of the privacy issues. Like, it's a little intimidating The Life Aid Beverage senior management team recently all got Ray-Ban Metas, and they all
Really?
have cameras. So you can imagine walking up and talking to one of the other employees, and the other employees don't have the cameras, but they have cameras on. That's a little intimidating, right? That, what is this recording going to be accessible later on? And maybe that's of use to you as the wearer of the glasses, but it's certainly not making me feel comfortable about this natural conversation that I'm expecting to have with you. Now, one of the other things is whether you can actually impose a display on it. And a number of the CES glasses that came out, I can name them, but I won't bother for the moment, have displays included in them. And the Rokid and the Halliday glasses both have a green monochrome display. One is using something in the lens that actually presents that display like a heads-up display. And then the Halliday glasses, I have no connection to them, but I have to buy them because they're named after me.
Yeah.
They have a little projector that actually puts that directly against your retina. So there's nothing in the way of the clear glasses. And they've also accomplished what is the lightest pair of those glasses out there, possibly with the exception of Amazon's glasses. They're called Echo frames, which are audio only. And there's no other component to them that allows them to be lighter. But the Halliday glasses are very interesting to me. They do not have a camera. And I don't think I need a camera. I want to be able to talk to the glasses. I want the glasses to be able to present something back to me visually, in addition to being able to speak to me. So I have a deposit on the Halliday glasses, and I'm going to buy them despite them being very expensive. But I have to, so it's like it's a clan thing,
You're doing it for all of us. I appreciate it.
Whoever.
Yeah.
No, because I think the CEO is Asian. It's a little weird.
Yeah. Halliday. I mean, it is a great name. Let's be honest. It's a great name for a product. So when I saw that, I don't know, it was a couple of weeks ago when we saw that, I was like, oh my God, so then you shared with us in the Slack message that you had done a pre-order, like the little screen grab of it or whatever, and made us all laugh at from the crew on the backside of the show. So that's pretty good. By the way, Andy, I want to bring this up to everybody, because this is what I was talking about with the Meta glasses. I do not own Meta glasses yet. But man, I've been close a couple times. I've been like, ooh, I don't know. They've come out with different size models. Excuse me. I do wear glasses, not on this show. I don't need it to see anybody, but like, I'm an older guy now, my late 40s. And, when I was 40, the eye doctor was like, look, you'll strain your eyes less if you have these slightly corrected glasses for the computer. So I do wear glasses when I'm generally working through the day, but I don't need them to see. I had LASIK way back in 2000 and corrected my vision back then. But I do wear sunglasses all the time. I mean, if I'm outside on the cloudiest of cloudy days, yesterday it was raining, quick newsflash here. I went and met Carl. So I actually Carl was in Tampa. And so Carl and I actually got to hang out for the first time. That's the first that any of us have met in public or, in person. So that was super cool that I got to see Carl, and maybe I'll be able to share a picture here of us, but actually I'll save it for the newsletter. But my point to saying that is yesterday it was raining in Tampa. It was a horrible day for weather. He was trying to, his games were getting delayed and stuff. And I was still wearing sunglasses. Well, Meta is now saying, at least I feel like this is coming from Meta, in 2025, the addition of a small display to the Ray-Ban smart glasses, allowing users to see basic notifications of responses from the virtual assistant directly on the lenses, making a significant step forward towards a more functional augmented reality experience. However, the full, quote, Orion-style augmented reality glasses with advanced displays are still likely much, much farther away, which Mark Zuckerberg talked about as well. So it'd be interesting, Andy, number one, to see if that happens. Number two, did they go the Halliday route and project it back, or is it actually going to be a heads-up display in the Meta glasses? To me, I actually do want the camera, not for these conversations, not for when I'm on a Zoom conversation. I could care less. Out in the world, though, I like to travel. My wife and I like to go around. We like to pop down to Tampa on a nice day and walk the city walk. And I can see a lot of reasons why that'd be really valuable. Obviously, when I was over in Paris, absolutely, it would have been so valuable to have it for reading signs. And remember that the boulangerie is the better type of bakery. It's a certain style of bakery, and you have to know that, and different things like that. I would have worn those glasses all summer with our travels and stuff like that, and found it to be really, really valuable. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Meta does, because they're a rare win in this area. We don't see a whole lot of wearables get pretty well praised. The Ray-Ban Meta glasses are actually successful, which is they're the first, really.
The people who I've spoken to who have them really reference as sort of the use case that they found most enjoyable, having the camera, directing the attention of the glasses towards something and having either a translation done or an explanation of that. And I can see that being really practical. There's like imagine going into an art museum and being able to stand in front of the painting and get a full, just for your ears only, a full description of the artist and what the artist's intentions were with that. And those are the kinds of applications I think that really will make it useful for people who want that kind of sort of informational guidance when they're out and about, as you say. So I like the camera idea. I don't feel I need it, because I can also pull up my phone if I want to have that kind of thing. And I believe that all of these will actually have a Bluetooth connection to the phone, but I'm not certain of that.
I wonder if there's some future here where it does have a camera, and I'm totally talking out of my knowledge here, but I'm just curious. Is there a future here where they do have forward-facing cameras, but it's like LiDAR or some mix of radar, where it's still able to, like a Tesla car, to recognize the environment for important reasons that you might want a forward-facing camera, but it's not there to it's not going to capture a HD video of you, Andy, standing in front of me. It may recognize you as a human. It may recognize that as a person moving around in the space. Maybe there's some potential there in the future if it's a good enough type of camera, but it's not our traditional HD video recording, MP4, what we would think about that, but it's still able to capture the real world. I could see, capturing text for translation, listening, obviously, for the translation as well. Being able to take in streetscapes, connected to, if it's got really, really low latency, connected to your Google Maps or whatever the map, is, knowing where you are and which way you're patterning. I know when I came up from the subway, every time in Paris, I always had to think, all right, hold on. All these streets look the same. There's 5 different ways I can go, and all the Parisian buildings in this area looking identical, So I was always like, which way did I come up the stairs? Which way do I need to turn? And so that kind of stuff was always really valuable, because I was always looking at my phone trying to figure out which way I needed to be pointed to go down that particular route, So I don't know. Maybe there's some future that we're not even really seeing right now, because it's not smallable, the latency, it would take too much power, whatever the reason is. But maybe vision really isn't actually just always video. Maybe vision is actually what the Tesla cars and the Waymo cars are using right now, which is a mixture of 3 or 4 different types of vision in order to help them navigate streets and stuff, which also lends itself to, we've seen this, right, with the wearables and the cane that had AI built into it to help the gentleman who is blind work his way through. And so you could see that there could be some potential here for people with disabilities or vision or otherwise that might need additional assistance. So anyway, just like I said, don't know if any of that is possible, but it's interesting to me nonetheless.
One comment, or perhaps one question I would sort of like to leave on that topic, is the privacy issue, particularly with video, even more so than audio. How are we going to handle that? Because, as one of you guys mentioned earlier, in talking to the boss, all the management staff are wearing cameras. They're probably recording. But if you're out in the street, if I get my camera out and start following people around recording, you might get a little tap on the shoulder from a policeman. So, I'm really curious how they're going to handle that. And is that data going to be fed back in into some central AI to help with the LLM and maybe better at, understanding people's faces and all this sort of stuff. I think that's something that would probably need to have a pretty serious conversation about. I don't know enough about the meta glasses themselves to know the ins and outs of that, but I think that's going to be a topic that someone, if they haven't already, someone's going to start saying, we need to think more about this.
Yeah, and on that note, the last thing I'll say before we, Andy, obviously, if you have anything else before we wrap up here, is I said this in a post on LinkedIn probably 2 years ago. And I was making, at the time, I challenged myself to make a video a day on LinkedIn. So I would just talk about, I was like telling stories. So I might tell a firefighter story. I might tell this story. I might tell that story. And I would always try to relate it to what was going on, with business practices and stuff. Anyway, that's what I would do. One of the videos I did, though, I said in the future, and this is before I really knew about AI, but I said in the future, we're all going to be famous. And what I meant by that was I gave an example of Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. And I said, he's of a certain size human that he's not going to blend in, right? He's a big person. He's not going to blend in. You're going to know it's him from down the block, right? It's going to look like him, sound like him. Because he's now famous and around the world, he no longer has the ability to be curt with somebody, to brush him off. I mean, he certainly could, but I've seen videos of him and other celebrities where they kind of get that smile, that corner smile, and you think, man, this person's really, really upsetting them or just annoying them or whatever. But there's a pause, there's a little curl of the lip on the side, and he goes, okay, yeah, that's great. Great to meet you and stuff like that. And he's just trying to work himself out of the conversation because he's always on stage. Celebrities have been having to deal with this forever and ever and ever. Every time they walk out of the house, they have to assume they're being recorded, photographed, journalists, the whole thing, paparazzi. That's the world we're all moving into. And people are going to have to start being much, much more cognizant. And maybe they won't care, but we're all going to be moving into a world because of wearables and discrete devices and things like that. What you say matters, is going to be recorded, and it can come back and bite you. So is this going to cause more people to be more polite in public, like celebrities do, in order to protect their personal brand, if you will? Probably. And of course, there'll be people who push the other way and go, F it, and they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and there's gonna be a strong reaction against it. But whether you have a strong reaction or not, whether you're the type of person that would get visibly upset on a train if you saw somebody wearing Meta glasses and they were facing you and the light was on, and you're like, dude, I'm on that person's camera, but I'm in a public space. There's technically nothing you can do about it. There's going to be the people who react angrily and forcefully about that, but ultimately it's a losing battle because these wearables are coming to all sorts of things. And we didn't even touch on things like clothing. What happens when it gets into your hats and your shirts and your clothing and your shoes and your, wearable doesn't mean just glasses. It means they can go into all sorts of things or rings like the, Oura rings and stuff. This is just the tip of the iceberg, what we're seeing today. And it's just going to be part of our life. I don't see how it's not, unless there's like strong legislation or laws against it, or some places banning it or whatever. So, Andy, do you have any last thoughts and take us home here?
I want to circle back to the beginning concept that the R1 put forward a year ago, which is a portable agent that you can train and that can do things for you, that connect to lots of devices, your desktop, your Google account, and all those things. I don't know if the Ray-Bans, currently have that. I don't use Meta AI, but you do, Brian. Can you ask the Meta glasses to set a reminder for you? Can you have it, record I'm going to record a quick note here, and I want you to send a text to so-and-so with it. Those are the kinds of features, those agentic features that I think have to be added if they don't already exist in some of these. And I don't know whether any of the glasses today are coupled, as the Rabbit is, to a system that's designed to do these actions for you.
Yeah, that was a strong point. I don't believe it is, but I'm maybe not the best person to ask, but I don't remember seeing that. But you're right. All of this stuff being connected to these agentic, workflows down the road definitely is going to make a difference. We kind of saw that with the Bee, where it was passively listening, I guess, because it wasn't like transcribing, but it was certainly picking up the person, and then did create a to-do list on its own. It didn't ask for the person to say, would you like to make this too? It just literally did it. And that's sort of the things I think we're going to see in the future. So yeah, I don't see it necessarily today, but you're right, Andy. If you're out and about in the world and you got your metas on and stuff like that, and you have a quick note and you're like, oh, geez, I already left the house, but send a quick email to so-and-so about what we just talked about, blah, 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 right? Whatever that is. And it's an ability to go into Slack and connect and send that and come back to you almost like a voice note and say like, hey, I sent it into Slack. This is what it said. Do you want to send it? And maybe I get a little heads up, maybe on the future glasses. But I go, yeah, verbally, I say, yeah, okay, that's great. Just like a voicemail, do you want to reply in your car? Yes. So I think those are all coming, and they're going to connect through multiple apps. The one we didn't talk about, but we're just out of time, but I'll just bring it up, is Natera Umana, Natura, second word Umana, Natera Umana. Check out that company. Their earbuds, they're called Human Pods. But what's interesting about them, they have little videos on here, but in one of them, they talk about it being a therapist. So the person actually sits down on a bench in the video and says, I'm really stressed out today. And an initial agent comes on and says, hey, Beth, whatever the person's name was or whatever. So I should have said Beth. Hey, whatever it was, Amy, how can I help you out today? Whatever. She's like, I'm super stressed. She's like, I totally understand that. Would you like me to bring your therapist into this? Well, what they meant was an AI therapist agent. And the idea is that everybody would have access to their own set of agents that they may want to bring or have conversations with throughout their day. I do see potential there. I really do. The idea of AI and therapy and all that, I know that's a complicated subject, but there's a lot of value there to, perhaps helping people, in that sense. So didn't get to it, but Natera, Umana.ai, check them out. They're another wearable that is out and about, and you have to join a wait list for them. So they are not currently available, but you can learn more at that website. Okay, we're going to wrap it up for today. Tomorrow, guys, we are talking about coding agents. There's been a lot more of it. Cursor kind of hit the mainstream, and then there was Replit, but now there's Devin and Bolt, and there's Zed.dev, and probably more out there that I'm not even aware of. Andy's been working a ton in this area. So Andy, you're going to be helping us out tomorrow. And Eran, if you can make it back, great. But if not, we'll be listening to Andy kind of talk about your experiences, and also like, where are we with these coding agents? What can they really help us with? Where are their limitations? You're uniquely situated to talk about that, Andy, I think, and where they can potentially go wrong and not be as helpful as well as right. So that's tomorrow. Wednesday's the news. Tomorrow, Thursday, we're going to be talking about the World Economic Forum and something they released in the last week, talking about AI and job disruption and all that. And Friday, we'll do our bi-weekly recap show where we go back to topics like today and others in the last 2 weeks. And we kind of always have a really great time on those Friday shows. I believe Beth will be back on Friday. Carl will be back on Friday. I think Jimmy's coming back soon. Obviously, Eran, anytime you're able to hang out with us, I know it's late in the evening, we always appreciate it as well. So that's it for today. We will see you guys tomorrow to talk all about coding agents. Thank you to everybody in the comments. Thank you to Beth for running tech on the back end for us. Till tomorrow, guys.